I wonder what he could have said.
Take that!
Well, I wasn't expecting Emma to get blamed for killing the guy. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. All people. She may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life... It was actually Amy. Was Emma Skye. And you find it a bit odd that AA tends to treat accidental killing with the same gravity as intentional murder. Can't believe after witnessing the horrific scene, Emma killed the prosecutor, and then she became a monster, killing every single officer in the building. Well, it makes sense that this wasn't Joe Dark because there was evidence, and he leaves no evidence. See, Worthy, can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gant. Do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in that case, were you not? Ah, yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction.
Objection!
But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice? What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Doesn't the lack of evidence prove that the serial killer Joe Dark... You guys love this evidence bit, don't you? Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? He might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he... Order! 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 The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. Oh, another to be continued point. Wow. So I could have gone a little bit later last night and reached this, but I wasn't sure when they were going to let up the gas. Yeah, let's get Angel Star back on the stand. I agree. Also, did I say hi, Dots? I know you popped up at a point. I'm not sure if I said hi. When is Jackie Tron gonna go up on trial? It could happen in any of the games, to be honest. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals! Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it all off here, you call me here, I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again? Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. No evidence shall be shown through without the approval of the police department. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. Message? She said if you're planning to take him on, you're gonna need this book. Him. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Rules for submitting evidence. 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Okay. Doesn't look like that book will do any good for you now, though. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in the prosecutor's seat? Despite all these allegations being thrown at me. Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death. And now you're telling me you want to do more? You gotta be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body, which, honestly, we may never know why she did that. Other than that, maybe she's just a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That means the real killer is still out there somewhere. She's just quirky and LOL random. She loves stabbing corpses. I mean... What? And we're going to expose him. No matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. Here we go! This is probably the last leg, yeah? Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Oh, that is not the judge's voice. When did Gumshoe become the judge? What? Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. The inquiry committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Judge Gumshoe would be pretty funny, indeed. A little stabbing and already evidence. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well, ahem. Normally, this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness, but, this isn't easy to say. See, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses? I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing! Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. And it's settled. The, defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright. You do realize this is your last chance. You can call Angel again. What if he struck a deal with them and then Phoenix calls them? Edgeworth sucks as a prosecutor? He definitely doesn't have it together compared to Van Zeeks. Yeah, like his teacher definitely tased us. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. Oh, hold on, hold on. The defense calls... Time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Old bag is sadly not an option. Alright, it's gotta be Gant, right? I mean... Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As a defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Name and occupation. Oh, you wanna play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting police chief. Now then, Chief Gant. The court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto! What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean the last time when Lana's sister murdered the... You mean the time when Lana's sister murdered the prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all this. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Sure, take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I am afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well, the witness may now begin his testimony. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Is that when Dark was arrested? Why did it take you so long to think this about Edgeworth?
Soybean.
You think Edgeworth is hot? Him? He was laying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. The police chief has the right to refuse to testify? Then I'd better hit him hard and fast. Alright, as I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. I see you're not a Narumitsuer? A what? As I recall, a ceremony was held at the police department that day. Yes, that's right. I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neil was fired up too. That's the Phoenix and Edgeworth ship name. Oh, I actually do ship them. I just don't think Edgeworth is very, not my type. I'm actually, like, I don't dislike Edgeworth, but I'm also not, like, crazy about him. Like, I know a lot of people that play these games think he's, like, the best, and I'm just kind of like, I like most of the side characters more. Oh, Edgeworth's Japanese name is Mitsurugi. Photo? That's probably what spooked Dark and made him run away like that. Was the defendant Lana Sky also present in the room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Dark ran for it. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. So the two of you ran immediately after him, right? That's right, but Dark made it to the elevator first, so Neil and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky. What's this about a power outage? Oh, that. The elevator stopped all of a sudden and I got the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil when that knife went into his heart, though. That's not funny. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Could you tell us about what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and the serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, tangled together. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor. Yes, apparently he hit his head and was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lana and Emma. Lana was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back at it now, she must have already known that what her sister had done. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body, it had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lana's desk. That's right. I think you said earlier, it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor. So why doesn't the suit of armor have, like, blood and shit on it? Yes. Anyway, as you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office? That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt, but moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. You're going to stare at anything. You'd be better off staring at the court record. Worthy, always the smooth talker. But which piece of evidence ties Gantz to the forgery? Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. Somehow, I've got to link Gant to the incident. Okay, so it seems to me what we need to go up against here is this. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. We don't use evidence law yet. I think it might be this, because this has Emma's handprint on it, and it was in his safe, which means he had a reason to hide it. So we're probably going to present this. This is not helpful. This is not helpful. The autopsy report, probably not helpful. Can we check the back of the photo? I don't think you can. Where it says Damon Gant is behind everything. Start. You want an updated autopsy report? We could probably use one. This one's the one I have is pretty old. I'm gonna go with the handprint.
Objection!
If you really had nothing to do with the forgery, then how do you explain this? What's that? Oh, well, I've been waiting for you to ask me this. This is evidence that I stole. Chief Gant, your explanation, please. I don't know. You tell me, son. Huh? My dear Righto, don't you know the second rule of evidence law? Uh-oh, not this again. Evidence law. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Tell me, how is that rag relevant to this trial? It appears the defense was not prepared. I guess it's too early to use this piece of evidence. Please accept my profound apologies, Chief. Would you mind giving the defense another chance? Well, okay, I'll do it just this once, but only because you asked, Udgy. Thank you. I assure you the defense is terribly sorry. Ha ha ha. Yeah, sorry I didn't nail you. Wait, so we actually... Wow. So I thought that this was going to tie him to the murder. It could still be the unstable jar, 'cause that was inside his safe. I'm gonna try the jar.
Objection!
You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example. That's the blue badger you showed us earlier. A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier was actually found inside your desk. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Oh, here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So, you admit it then, that you were involved in the forgery. Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. That's funny. Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My, kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Let's see, what was it now? A jar, fragment, and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand that I am the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Indeed, I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. Right, Ajit. In return, though. I know. That place, right? What are these guys, telepathic? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. I'd appreciate it if you'd stop making these ridiculous allegations. Yes, you do have a point. You wouldn't have the guts to do something like that. What? I'll have you know, back in the day, I once broke into a cattle ranch and tipped... Mr. Wright, what are you saying? Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry in the evidence, can you? If you have proof to the contrary, you're going to need it later. Later? What are you talking about? What else? I'm talking about when Righto's prints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, they would prove his investigation was illegal. I've never faced anyone as slimy as this guy. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. What do you mean by that? This is all purely hypothetical, of course, but suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery. If concealing evidence from found at a crime scene isn't forgery, I'm not through speaking yet, Righto. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered. right? It's like, hey, I'm finally being called out on breaking and entering. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they are now worthless. Are you saying this jar fragment wasn't discovered in the initial investigation? It would appear not. After all, it wasn't listed in the evidence list. For all we know, it could have suddenly materialized the day after Dark was sentenced. Oh, and wouldn't that be convenient? Right. The chief is talking about a possibility, so long as you can't rule that out. Your remarks, however clever they may be, will only succeed in wasting time. Tell me something I don't know. Now, Rhino, think about it. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. How can you look me in the eye and say that? Because I'm innocent. Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil? I'm not sure I care for the word murder here, but in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Emma Skye. Well, now do you see? Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. This is probably what we're gonna refute. Really, Chief Gantz, at the very least, there is one very large benefit you've reaped from all this. Oh, I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would, of course, be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh. The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive. Oh, ho, ho! Oh, that's a good one! Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes, he was going to be made chief anyway. Yeah. Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There. It's out in the open now. Pudgy, would you mind if I change my testimony a little? I've got it. He did it for Gumshoe. He always had a crush on him. Oh. By all means, please do. I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. He did it for the D. Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Anna's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Oh! That's a good one, Worthy. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? True, you might not help out anyone for their sake, but if it would be of benefit to you, you might decide to assist someone. Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. That's not what I meant. Very well. Who is the person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence? It's gotta be Goodman. Could possibly be Lana. But I think Goodman was like, in charge of the case, right? Excuse me. So I'm kind of getting Goodman vibes here. I guess if I'm wrong, I can try Lana. Because Lana was his partner, but I feel like that's very obvious. Righto, my boy, the look on your face is almost enough to motivate me to help you out. Oh, I'm wrong. Oh, I was so wrong. Alright, press. Alright, we'll try Lana. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye? The defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. Self-profit? What do you mean? After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed Chief Prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant. But how would he profit at all from this? He would be able to use the Chief Prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations. She doesn't even have a law degree. Yeah, he just sent her there. Do you mean to tell me that despite the Chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh wait. You must mean puppet as in someone forced to... Admit it, Chief! I like how they all just ignore him. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive? To appoint her as Chief Prosecutor, so you could control her. Righto, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana. She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. The judge also doesn't have a law degree. So much makes sense. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. Unless that is also what happened in this incident. This incident? Which would that be? Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. We still don't know why Goodman was killed, by the way. The Chief Prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial, and even before the trial, when she was stabbing corpses, as we can see in this picture. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. Whoa. Whoa. What? Order, 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 I said order! Mr. Wright, you can't be serious. Huh? This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. to accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder? That's, impossible! Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier-to-understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright.
I don't really understand what's going on, but...
There's no turning back for us now. It looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this. And you prove this, Mr. Wright, that the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder. Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. I see. All right, then. I am so prepared to be wrong a bunch of times. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us the evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. Okay, so this is gonna be hard. This is tied to Goodman's. Can only be submitted to the chief of police. It might be this. Because that actually says chief of police. Evidence from past case of Edgeworth's brought back to his office by Gant's request. Oh! It's this! This is the ID card list! Yes. The one that shows the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7777777. Babbles is back already? Oh my god, you're gonna catch the finale of Ace Attorney. We're about to catch hot older man Chief Gant. I'm gonna grab some water, actually.
Level up. I'm so happy.
What are you doing?
Where are you? Take a pose.
I have ascended!
Okie dokie, guys, I'm back. Thank you for the break. I went and got my giant oversized bag of laundry worth of clothes, so oh, did Tux break my 7 TV? I noticed that the gifts were not gifting to their normal capacity earlier. I know that one worked. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. Yeah, welcome back, Fables. How was the Outback? I was setting up 7TV on the Predator. Not Tux having his own Predator. Oh, that's... It's your number. Leaving now? No. Hey, Tux.
Bye-bye.
What? How do you know that? The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. 7 digits? You don't mean... I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Outback was good. Our steaks were actually disappointing, but everything else was good and we had a great time. Love seeing my mom. Great. I'm glad you had fun. It was her birthday? That's so sweet. I could go for a steak. Well, actually, no, I couldn't. I am so full from that quesadilla. But, I do love me a good steak dip. Alright. Organt doesn't understand the concept of secure passwords. The fact that he made a code 7777777 is... that is pretty damn dumb. Chief Gant. Oh. Face crack. You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. He's older, so he can't use computers. Good point. Order, order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. Sir? Do we stand? Of course, of course. Just because his password doesn't mean it's his card number 2, I think it's too much of a coincidence. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, so you admit it. You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days? Chief Gant. I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? His trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during the meeting? In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof the victim went to meet the chief on the day of the crime. Yeah, that's going to be the lost item. I love how Phoenix seems to know what's happening, and most of the time we're like... Oh, wait, are you confused, Lisa? I feel like I'm following this. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the police chief. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. I'm confused. We could really use a surfing minigame to help out. Yeah, and organize our thoughts. You know, as goofy as those Danganronpa minigames are, I actually do like that they keep the player up to speed. Like, I feel like the logic dive in particular is actually pretty well thought out in terms of, like, its functionality for the person playing the game. Because usually it's like a review of what was just discussed in the trial, so that there's no way you will go through the trial without understanding the significance of what was just talked about. I think it's actually pretty smart. There have been lots of times where Phoenix says he knows exactly what happened and I'm so lost. We'll have to point it out next time, Lisa, because I do feel like for the most part I'm understanding. That last Eden's Garden minigame was diabolical. Yeah,
about the camera?
that one, that's their attempt at making like a hype finale that is also its own identity, like setting it apart from Danganronpa. But like,
Who cares about the camera?
that one was just insane. I honestly think we would still be there with me attempting it if it wasn't for Chief. You know what's crazy about that too is he did it on parsec delay. How do you feel about surprise Toho? Actual God Gamer, I'm saying. I suppose he's a match for Anyways, he filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gantz. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him. There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on, let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the chief of police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly. But wait! The chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes, now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort.
Objection!
Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. That's right. Chief Gant, you did it! The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime. For no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Yeah, that was the iconic Kaiba gets destroyed by light.
You're, well, to be blunt, really hot.
After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor office's parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know, and everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence you need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time, I thought it was just a useless clue taking up space. How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us the evidence! To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. Yeah, Joe Dark definitely wouldn't have left evidence. I am actually a little confused on what this one is, because it was in Edgeworth's car, right? Well, the body was in his car. You use the parking stub? I'm gonna go with it. This is how he moved the Detective Goodman's body. A parking stub? Miles Edgeworth. You mean... The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. You mean I carried the victim's body. Precisely so. But wait, even you know, I didn't plan on returning to my office after the ceremony finished that day. But you did return. Tell me, why? Because Chief Gant told him to with the screwdriver. Ah! I was asked to go by Chief Gant, no less. Told me he wanted me to keep... Yep. So you see, what you were really taking to the prosecutor's office wasn't the screwdriver, but the victim's body in your car trunk. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car? Yes. Unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye. Order, order, order. What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo? Typo! Of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please say something. I believe your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, Rhino, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? The police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons, like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. He's gonna miss his lunch date at Applebee's. Yeah, you can get the bourbon burger at half price if you show up at 11. Or so I hear. Like tonight? No. What? That is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright, Your Honor, have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of his body. A concrete proof. Can't let him just squirm his way out of this. I've got to keep the pressure on. Yes, Your Honor, I do have such evidence. And please hurry up and present it. Just remember, it better prove Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman beyond a shadow of a doubt. So in these situations, Lisa, it's better to just choose the option that progresses the dialogue and then think about it once you're at the court record screen. So we need, hey Kiswan, yes, we are almost through the case. We need to prove that he killed Goodman. I'm not sure. It's doing this on its own, by the way. It better prove Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman beyond a shadow of a doubt. Did we ever use this Goodman's note? Honestly, at this point, I'm gonna guess on a few things here. Okay. Let's save, because I actually have no idea what it wants me to present. Okay. Proof: Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Sky dispose of the body. Present evidence. Is it something to do with the Blue Badger? Usually in Edward's toolbox, traces of victim's blood. So all this stuff about SL9 is probably irrelevant. Found a bloody handprint on Marshall's locker, but print has been wiped. This is irrelevant as well, right? I can't imagine. Found at the crime scene wrapped in defendant's muffler. This is not anything, right? There's blood from Goodman and Lana Sky. This is relevant. Yeah, I'm a little stumped on this one. Found in Gant's safe, evidence for something, but what? There's Emma Sky's prints. What is this? Clear handprint can be seen on a leather cloth. It's to Emma. Yeah, I don't know. evidence locker? I'm like kind of grasping at straws here. It's wrapped in a muffler. I don't know, man.
Take that!
Prove you're not a ghost. I might not have the evidence required for this one, actually. But I don't think we've ever been in a situation in this game where it asks you a question like this, and you're supposed to say no. Two bad endings in one weekend? I know. So it's not the Blue Badger, and it's not this note. And it's not the cell phone. I think we're about to bomb this one. This is one of the weird ones? Yeah, kind of feeling that.
Take that!
Let's load! Oh. So they really don't want you to. Yeah, I mean, I probably would have gone through all my evidence. No use showing evidence, I'm not sure myself. Present, I have no conclusive evidence. See, Aji. In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Rhino. Seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Say, Aji, I'll leave the rest to you. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency.
Objection!
Lady Luck. Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind the trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth? Another witness? In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else. One more witness who can answer all these questions. Raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist? She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor, the defense calls for...
Take that!
The defendant, Miss Lana Skye? She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on January 21st. February 21st, even. Which is coming up, IRL, very soon. Her task, to dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders. Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor. Very well, the court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. Oh, that's your birthday? Nice. Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Listen good, Lana. He's talking to
Happy
Lana.
birthday.
I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. Oh wow, so he's literally just threatening her out in the open. That's right, your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. Ah, this isn't good. Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then, I've got a lunch date to meet. Okay, if there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess. Did the judge just turn off his brain to that threat? Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Was it ever on? Yeah, honestly. He is dumb as rocks. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth. That chief. Something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe. Ha ha ha! I'm not a detective anymore. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry, I've already decided where to work now. At your office! My office? What? I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. Do you mean... Aya? Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. I'm actually okay with that, just for the record, if he became our legal assistant. Chief Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand? It's not fair he has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said. Chief, this is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? Emma, are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery. So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. Side dick! Oh look, it's the murderer. Murdered any people lately murderer. I was just thinking I really like her theme. I'm kind of relieved to see her. Relieved? Yeah. Now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. Those guards in the back are dead. And she did it all just to protect me. Lana is literally about to stab him now that Emma killed him. Yeah, Lana's like, oh, it makes sense! So Emma kills the people, and then Lana gets to get off on stabbing the dead victims. It actually makes all the sense. Good call, Phil, good call. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders, she must have shut herself up deep inside. To force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall. Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal. Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remembered now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see. Well, we'd better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait? No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. The dynamic between Wright and Edgeworth is so different than Ryunosuke and Van Zieks. It's different. It doesn't mean I don't like it. It's just Damn. Hold a moment. Hold it! I feel like the series does a good job of giving its prosecutors a lot of different flavor. Yeah, and I'm glad that it does. Like, I was kind of expecting to see, like, I guess, roles for the characters, and then to see them follow a similar role to, the way Great Ace Attorney was, so it's nice that this one's different. Stupid filter aside, I think the characters are a bit better. I really like the cast of Great Ace Attorney. Like, I really liked Naruhodo. I really liked Susato. I really liked, Van Zieks. I really liked Sholmes. Really? No, GAA's cast for me is, I think I like every single character better. But I also spent like 100 fucking hours playing that, so maybe it's Stockholm Syndrome, or maybe I need to just see this cast for longer. Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. If we're gonna have kangaroo court, it's best that the judge is a full clown. I mean, the judge in GAA was also not the brightest. He was slightly less stupid, though. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. I think AA2 is where a lot of characters start to shine in terms of characterization. Yeah, I think it's important to remind ourselves with this game that this is the first entry in the series. And the game was also originally a Game Boy Advance game, so the writing and the basis of the game is gonna just be on a smaller scale than we're used to. So I could definitely see this cast developing a lot more as the trilogy goes on. Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Gant and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Wrong! Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana! If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. So wait, she actually really did stab 2 corpses. It's just occurring to me. that she not only did it with Goodman, but she did it with Marshall. Like, girl! I can't fix her. Sometimes I break into a morgue just to show those bodies what's up. If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. What if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Well, no, but she tampered with a crime scene and then fabricated evidence that led to a man dying. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now begin cross-examination! I worked alongside Gant for years. How many years? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that would be 5 years. Detective Gant and Detective Sky were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases. She must have been good coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective. That's why. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. But think about it, Miss Sky. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Anna. So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken Prosecutor Award knife was stuck in the victim's body. How did it get there? What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dream was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change the statement. You mean, Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. That is so what happened to the other murder weapon. Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. It's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me. So when you found the scene like this, what did you do?
This lie into the truth.
After all, this is what everything boils down to. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body.
Hold it!
You planted the tip and you moved the body? Why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. Why did you move the body? When you showed up to the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Sky moved this body. Pieces of that jar that shattered during the event threatened my plan. Pieces of the jar, you mean... Yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead, and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed, but I have a feeling there is more to it than that. There must be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. So you rearranged the crime scene. Are you sure you didn't do this to keep Emma from looking like the murderer? How many times do I have to tell you, Mr. Wright? Emma didn't do it, period. You're so desperate to hide the fact? You're willing to risk the death sentence? She's lying! She did it so I wouldn't be blamed for what happened. In any case, as a prosecutor, what I've done is unpardonable. There's nothing I can do to make up for my actions. Mr. Wright, my sister's lying! Looks like she's determined to protect you to the end. She insists she fabricated the evidence by herself. There's no way she could have done it alone. Gotta get Lana to talk. If she's lying, then she's bound to slip up and make a contradiction. Okay, so do I... The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Oh, why would it say Emma also? Oh man, I am actually... I don't know. Do I try to use this? Miss Sky, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. Contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments, but it would be on the other end of the room? Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not have been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on the shattered jar. Order! Order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed regarding this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor. It seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards where we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well, the witness may now continue her testimony. Okay. So we kind of lucked through that one, to be honest. I was not confident about that presentation. I immediately noticed the traces of blood on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? It wasn't Chief Prosecutor. I wasn't Chief Prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay, what the f do we do with this? I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. So the jar was already broken. It's a miracle that thing hadn't broken earlier. It certainly looks as feeble as the defense's case. Sir? But not as feeble as the judge's judgment. Okay, get his ass. You were an ace detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally, I would have. But it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps my case. Anna, do that for me? It seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon you during the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came in. This is rather shocking. To be safe, I wiped the blood away. I'm afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened. What do you mean? If we really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in this situation? Lana, I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. A detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything. I got every last piece. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. So you illegally rearranged the crime scene. Yes, I don't have any excuse for my actions. So sorry, Lana, I didn't know. I treated you so badly all this time. It's not too late. Still plenty of time to make up. After we've gotten to the bottom of this incident. No doubt this day will leave a permanent stain on the history of the prosecutor's office. More contradictions have surfaced in her testimony. Your sister's really putting up a fight. She must really care for you. Still, she's not doing this the right way. I think I finally figured out the contradictions in her testimony. There's one final possibility that might turn everything around. Okay, so I actually don't know what I'm supposed to refute here. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. So... to be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got all of them. All I could think about was wiping where they were discovered. So, okay, what evidence do we have that has to do with this? We have no idea what this piece of cloth is doing still. Right, we can see the jar, and it doesn't have blood on it. Is it something with Jar again? Look here, it's hard to make out, but there's a dark red stain. Like blood. This chief has is different.
Hi.
Hey, man. So does that mean the chief had a piece of it already? God, this drift. Stop. This thing doesn't have a bottom, that's weird. I wonder which side is up. Better yet, what's the purpose of a bottomless jar? At least it doesn't collect dust inside. That is actually a really good question. What is the... hell? Are we using... I think I know what it is. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. Present jar again. That's what I'm going with. Miss Sky, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of the jar in Chief Gant's safe.
Yay!
In the chief's safe. But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was... still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Professor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. Why doesn't Emma remember that? Couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces were too big for anyone to miss, let alone ace detectives. Oh, she was unconscious. That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Ha, can you believe it? Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that. There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant at the time he was looking for Dark downstairs and... The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide the fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? No! Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question, what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence. Why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the Chief's puppet. No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client. I guess you do seem like the type who likes to twist the truth. Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana. May be right after all. What do you mean, Wright? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Sky, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Sky, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. Aw, shit. Okay, so wait. Full circle. Gant is the one that killed Marshall. Alright, final testimony.
Oh my god!
When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor. When I saw what happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor sword? I mean, sir, we have known this. You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright, she really does have faith in you. Is it in the book? Very well, Mr. Wright, please present this picture. I don't remember receiving this picture from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? See, we remember getting something from her then. Let's check it again. Hey, there's a picture here! Oh my. This is the actual crime scene! No other detectives saw the crime scene like this because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Wow, what a piece of evidence to get so late in the case. Mr. Wright, that piece cut out from his vest. Could that be? Oh, that's where the handprint came from. The cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe. He's using it as blackmail against...
Pardonnez-moi.
Yeah. This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whoever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. Wrong. No. Those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Okay, so Gant totally took unconscious Emma's hand and put it on his vest and then cut it out and is keeping it in his locker so that he can be like, I have this evidence that I could use to get your sister caught for killing someone on a suit of armor 2 years ago, and this is why you must listen to me forever, Lana. When I arrived, I found... Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant. What, now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Okay, that was a good line. So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have conclusive evidence? No, I don't, but someone does. Someone. So, what's your excuse, Righto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death? Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt that I made up myself? Is this true, Mr. Wright? Save here, just in case. Okay. If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now, and if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Oh shit, should I present that piece of evidence? The one showing who really killed Prosecutor Mark? I cannot show the evidence. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? Chief Gant? You opened my safe! I know you took what was inside! The conclusive evidence! I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Shut up! You! Ow! Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? I can't. Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at the picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the chief of police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Had you presented there, you get an immediate game over. Oh, yeah. Well, I appreciate the, Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? Can you admit to it? Wait, are we doing another fucking testimony? He can't. He literally can't testify. I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her? I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Sky. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. And when I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence. You mean those items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance. I was sure my plan would work. but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. I mean, you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence. What do you take me for, fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on the jar too? Oh. I mean, I'm sure he did. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Okay, where did he see that? Come on, Righto, cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth that you cut off from the victim's vest in your safe. Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all, but it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Oh, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Push move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. I guess we'll show it? Cannot show evidence. Show evidence. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see the conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. I don't think I can present that. Fuck. I don't know. I mean, it was obviously... Yeah, he did, Jam. I don't know... Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes. At last, you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean it could not have been forged? It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Ho ho ho! You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Righto had all this time to present the evidence, yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding just as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is... It's Emma.
Take that!
Emma? Emma Sky? What? They're mine? Sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? You're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true, tragic but true, this girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you? You monster! Miss Sky. You knew whose fingerprints those were, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Sky, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only is this trial over, but your career too. You purposely concealed this evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. Well, you're also cooked, in case if you forgot. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall. What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Sky, wasn't it? I am afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool blabbing about now? I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves the real killer is. Okay, I'm pretty sure they just said that like 5 times. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. The handprint on the blue badger is the only thing we haven't used yet. Fun watching you squirm. Yeah. Okay, they don't like it. Too late to turn back now. Cloth is a handprint and the old guy is wearing gloves. Interesting. Well, but the handprint is for the girl. It's either this or the other picture. I could try this. No. And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Sky took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. Hard to make it out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood, too. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth has no blood. Wait, there's no blood on it! Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. What is this nonsense? Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Could have arrived on the scene before Lana Sky, picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armor with the sword. Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death. Said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance. You proved that you were the actual murderer. No! It's finally over. Oh, that was close, Wright. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. No, it's not. Order! Order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Reggie? Earlier, old Wright here concealed that piece of cloth. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. That's not fair. Did you actually think you could best me in court? Looks like the last laugh's on you, son. Nah, we'll use the book about evidence. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, true, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright. Seems like at last, time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived, Mr. Wright. You admit to it, that you purposefully and illegally concealed this piece of evidence. I did not. I admit I refused to present it at one point. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then, it's that I couldn't. Do you mean couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Edgy, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe... There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is the evidence legal or not? Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation with the law, then do so.
Take that!
Behold, this children's book. This is my proof, Your Honor, evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written in the book here, the second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1, evidence shall be shown without the approval, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here is the crux of the matter. See, at that time, it was possible for me to prove the relevance. Impossible between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at the picture and... Sorry, but Can you recall when that picture was presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, David Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes! No! Yeah, I agree, Dots. It was then that you provided this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved of this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant. The killer was you. Ha ha ha! I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years, he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to investigate the case. He recruited Angel Star and then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Oh yeah, the whack hair. Rest in peace, this guy. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He also stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden, he decided to speak out. Are you talking about Goodman? Please reopen the investigation, Chief. Can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint on the Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in the car. I'm sorry. I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk. But what's the big deal? Make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecution's car aside. How? How could you get Miss Sky involved in all this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments on the glove. Yeah, looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Okay, God, this is dragging. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Pudgy. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gantz. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Pudgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Righto here, and Worthy. These two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of something skipped. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial's over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years, from the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all of your trouble. My. What a high standard you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you may make it to the top.
You're not bad at all. For a rookie.
I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. I was worried the pressure might break you, and yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky. Yes, Your Honor. You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. I do like her smiling sprite. Well, this trial has gone far too long already. Regarding the charge of the murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, not guilty. Hey, what's up, Dammy? That is all. The court is adjourned. Beacons gets knocked out around the time of the murder. Custody. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now after the trial ended? Smile. You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me. I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, yes I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Okay, he said literally the same thing. Lighten up, pals, I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Oops. Nope, not this time. I came because of you, pal. Me? That's right, I thought you'd like to see someone. Lana? Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day, 2 years ago, was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in the mess. Sis, I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the 2 past years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. Scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis, I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course! You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back, and now you have. I'm glad that we get to hear Emma's theme one more time. Oh, Emma. Emma. Aww. So, I'm guessing Lana is not a character in the other games, right? I mean, she's gonna probably go to jail. And Emma also probably is not, but a boy can dream. I'm glad that Emma wasn't, responsible for the death. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in doing so, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least that's what I felt watching the 2 sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe. Me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Ah! Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right, well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth? Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them, but in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows, given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me, that's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime, but they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright, which is odd, and because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Oh, yeah, what is this, apocalypse? Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. Are we really doing this? Is it the screwdriver? Yeah, I am definitely super low on time. What am I supposed to, present? Is it the badge or the, screwdriver? I was supposed to end stream 25 minutes ago. It's the evidence lists. Oh, okay. Thank you, guys. Picture I drew. Counterattack began. You didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. it's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, you excuse me. There are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Not for long. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? What I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. See you in Ace Attorney 2. I'd better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. Seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation. It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. And so another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, haha. You see, Mr. Wright here's the one who'd be footing the bill. Huh? Oh, classic. Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream? Hey, got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. Aha! Alright, we did it, guys. We beat it. I think Case 5 was pretty good. I did enjoy it. I think at the end there, it did drag a little bit for me. Like, it seems so obviously Gantt for so long. Yeah, I digress. I'll talk about it more, in the future. But, good experience with Ace Attorney 1. I liked the game a lot. I'd probably give it, like, 7.5 out of 10. We will be doing Ace Attorney 2, but our next visual novel is going to be Ghost Trick, and we probably won't get that started until mid-March, because of life events. Anyways, I'm gonna take off, because I am over my stream time. So, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys later this week, probably with Nocturne shenanigans. Bye-bye.